Co-creator of Veggie Tales, and the voice of Bob the Tomato, Sunday School Lady, Archibald Asparagus, and probably a whole lot of others, Mr. Phil Vischer. Give him a warm welcome.
Well, our friend Phil Vischer has arrived, one of the co-creators of Veggie Tales and the founder of Jellyfish Labs. We'll find out what that's all about coming up in minutes.
It is Christmas time. That means it is time to celebrate the birth of Jesus, time for Christmas decorations, time for Christmas.
And now on to bigger, and for him, I'm sure he hopes even better things. It's Phil Vischer. Good morning, Phil.
I wouldn't say better, but definitely different.
Definitely different is right. Yeah, in fact, you're going even beyond Veggie Tales and
equally good.
Yeah, funny characters. And did I hear that you were on CNN and you're going to
something funny?
What's going on?
Something funny is happening because I'm doing a new series called What's in the Bible that walks kids all the way through the Bible, and so we're working with a new PR firm, and they're kind of pitching me as, hey, this guy knows a lot about the Bible, and they're pitching me to mainstream media like Fox News and CNN. If you have any story involving the Bible and you want someone who's moderately amusing, why not talk to this guy? So I've been on Fox News twice in the last 6 weeks. And then there's a story about the governor of Rhode Island who came out, and refuses to call the state Christmas tree a Christmas tree. He's calling it a holiday tree.
Right.
And a lot of people in Rhode Island are cranky with him, but he's sticking by it. And so I was on CNN Sunday morning talking about why we need to keep calling Christmas traditions Christmas, and then just found out that Sean Hannity wants me on his radio show tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock Central Time, I'm on Sean Hannity's radio show, but he decided he didn't want me just by myself, so he invited the head of the American Atheists Association to debate me live on the radio about whether Christmas trees should still be called Christmas trees, to which my reaction is, holy cow, how did I get myself here? So anyway, if you want to hear what happens when a tomato debates an atheist about Christmas, tune into Sean Hannity's radio show tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m.
Well, I'm glad it's the tomato rather than Sunday School Lady who shows up with that cane and starts whacking him. When
Sunday School Lady would show very little of God's grace, right. I'm afraid. So we have to. Hello, mister.
Right.
Let's talk about your bankrupt moral code.
And who could have been behind such thinking like that?
Yes, what would make you think you should change the Christmas tree? I don't know, Satan.
Right. Now, of course, it isn't just the governor. Is it Rhode Island who did this?
Yes, Governor of Rhode Island.
Yeah, I was just driving by Whole Foods, not to pick on anybody, and they have their Christmas tree selection up, and it says right there with a big sign, holiday trees.
Yeah, and I was shopping in a store I will not name, but it's so subtle that we don't even notice it. There were Christmas cookies on sale in the grocery store, but they're called holiday cookies. Mm-hmm. But it's okay. Well, what makes it a holiday? Well, they're frosted green and red.
Yeah, okay.
So they're not Hanukkah cookies, because those would be frosted blue.
Yeah.
They're not Kwanzaa cookies, because those would be frosted yellow, black, and green.
Yeah, because
so what are they?
Yeah, Christmas cookies.
No,
no.
There's no, and I'm, one of the points I'm making is like Christmas is the Lord Voldemort of holidays. It's he who cannot be named.
Right.
Whatever you do, don't say the word Christmas, because crusades will start or something. I'm not even sure, what will happen. So we can celebrate any holiday but Christmas.
Yeah. Well, we're glad that you're one of the spokespeople in behalf of the faith.
Somehow,
out there,
God is throwing me in there because, there are many people smarter than I am. You could go to Wheaton College or anywhere and find someone smarter than I am, but they like some connection to something they've heard of.
Yeah.
So they say Veggie Tales, and they say, oh, the guy with Veggie Tales, okay. And if you're halfway amusing, it makes for better television.
So are you nervous about this, though?
No.
It'll
be fun.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. I mean, you could humiliate yourself in front of millions of people, but aside from that, you've already done that, right?
I've done worse.
Right. So we think about that. Okay, so people, can they get a very abbreviated story? We'll only have a couple of minutes here before the break. But how you got from Veggie Tales into some jellyfish operation.
Yes, I got into trouble with my first company, Big Idea Productions, tried to do too much, tried to build too fast, and ended up bankrupt. So lost it, couldn't figure out why God would do that. He taught me over about a 6-month period that I had made my work I was doing for him more important than my relationship with him. And I had become miserable. I was working myself to death. And he let it go, not because he didn't love me, because he loved me so much. And he wanted to free me from my own ambition. And in that time of just looking toward him, he basically gave me a clean piece of paper and said, all right, let's start this again together. Not focused on outcomes, not focused on ambition, focused on me. Me, not me, Phil, me, God.
Right.
Not that Phil is God, but that God was talking to Phil.
I think I have that now.
Yes. And so I started looking back and said, okay, well, I want to take kids deeper, because Veggie Tales, my real purpose in Veggie Tales was just to get to the point to be able to say, remember, kids, God made you special and he loves you very much.
Yeah.
That was the start of a conversation about God. It was not supposed to be the entire conversation. I then wanted to go deeper, but Veggie Tales became so consuming that I didn't have time to go deeper because we were, so busy making Veggie Tales gardening gloves and Veggie Tales sew-at-home fabrics and Veggie Tales socks, that there was no time to say, well, what's next? What's beyond Veggie Tales? And so God, I kind of freed me from that. Said, you shall not have to worry about Veggie Tales socks any longer. I am making that someone else's problem. Do what's next. And that is walking kids all the way through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, with the new series, What's in the Bible.
Aren't you still connected, though, to the...
Thanks,
that's a good
guys.
message.
Somebody give her a prize.
We got him right up here. Okay, so are you still connected, though? You're still doing some Veggie Tales
I'm
things.
I hang out with Mike. We do voices. I wrote one script a year for a few years.
Yeah.
The last script I wrote was Big River Rescue, and I wrote The Wizard of Oz, and I wrote Lord of the Beans.
Okay.
So I was still working as a creative consultant. Now I'm so busy with What's in the Bible that I'm not writing for Veggie Tales anymore, but I still show up to do, I'm about half the character voices, so I still stay kind of busy.
Okay. Well, I know that there are at least 1, 2, 3 What's in the Bibles. Are there more than that?
Come on,
I'm so behind the times.
There are 6 out in stores right now.
Wow.
And a Christmas special called Why Do We Call It Christmas? And that's why I'm on Sean Hannity tomorrow, because we put out a Christmas special that explains the traditions of Christmas, including where the Christmas tree came from. Because we get so confused about, are we celebrating Jesus Christmas or are we celebrating Santa Christmas? And which traditions are from which? And is a Christmas tree part of Jesus Christmas or is it part of Santa Christmas?
Yeah.
And is it okay if we have them?
Yeah.
And so we're unpacking all these traditions and saying, okay, do Christmas trees have anything to do with Jesus? And they actually do, if you go all the way back. And that's what we're teaching in this new video, which is why I'm now debating an atheist.
Yeah, okay, well, I can see the connection. Now, it is here for sale, if I understand it right, for our audience.
The Christmas special? Sure it is.
Okay.
And if you're on the radio, I'm pretty sure we could steer you toward it, too.
Okay, but if you're here in our studio audience,
He'll
he'll probably even take his magic marker out and sign it for you before you leave today, because he's that kind of a guy.
It's conceivable.
Okay, 24 after 8 o'clock, we'll continue our discussion with the always fun Phil Vischer here in just a moment. Rarely would we direct you away from our own radio station, but I think you're on Sean's radio program?
Yes, radio program.
And that airs tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here in Chicago.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it is on WLS,
okay,
if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
But so you can hear Phil in his debate.
I can hear myself.
Yeah,
that's even more valuable because it's recorded, apparently.
All right, now we're going to put you to the test.
Boy.
We're going to see how you can switch between characters here. So let's start with Sunday School Lady. And Sunday School Lady, if my question would be, what are the most important verses I should know about in the Bible?
Oh, let me tell you, dear. The most important verses are the ones that tell you to pay attention in Sunday school. Let's see, which one is that?
Is there one of those?
There's a verse where Moses came down from Mount Sinai with this flannel graph. That is one of my favorite verses because it establishes the orthodoxy of the flannel graph.
Okay.
And there's, let's see, Jesus wept. I like that one because if you need the kid to memorize just one more verse before the end of class.
Yeah, that would be the one.
That's your verse, man. You can do that in like 2 shakes of a lamb's tail or a lamb chop's tail.
Do you ever use, Sunday School Lady, do you ever use Veggie Tales in your lessons? And if you do, who's your favorite Veggie Tales character?
Oh, those veggies, they kind of freak me out.
Yeah, understandably.
With the big goo-goo eyes and the hopping.
Nightmares.
Makes me concerned. I was a missionary in Irian Jaya. When I was younger, I worked with cannibals.
I see.
Do you know what a cannibal is?
Well, it's a can of something.
It's the people who can only eat canned food.
Okay, there you go.
But sometimes they ran out of canned food and they'd try to eat each other.
Yeah.
So I brought them the love of Jesus and Happy Meals, and they were much happier. And that was before I became a Sunday school teacher.
Okay, well, let me just tell you that there is the Veggie Tales thing out there, and one of the characters in that is Bob the Tomato. Have you ever heard of Bob the Tomato? How about that?
No, I'm not familiar. It's probably for the younger generation, you know.
Oh.
I'm still, you know, when Billy Graham and I used to date.
Yeah.
Back in the 1840s.
Man, is this scary. Yeah.
So I don't mean to date myself.
And you didn't. You dated Billy. But,
once electricity came in, I sort of lost touch with popular culture.
I see. Well, let me give you an illustration of what you missed by all these Veggie Tales.
Yes, please.
Let me introduce
enlighten me.
Yeah, so there's this character, see, Bob the Tomato, when he's really big and round and red. Yeah, and I'd like...
Sort of like Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, if you embarrass him, yeah, that's... he's not as big as he used to be, however.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Well, that's good.
Okay, so let's find out what Bob the Tomato thinks of Sunday School Lady.
Hi, kids, this is Bob the Tomato. You know, I had a Sunday school teacher once. I don't really know who this Sunday school lady is. She sounds a little bit frightening and probably Baptist.
Yeah.
So, you know...
Why does she sound Baptist to you? Now, what are you alluding to in this,
Sound
Bob?
Baptist to you? I don't know.
Southern Baptist, perhaps?
Perhaps. You know, church basement, probably cinder block, probably
right,
a very inexpensive piano, and whole lot of tiny cups of grape juice.
Yeah, very good.
That's what I'm thinking.
Scripture memorization kind of big on her agenda?
Scripture memorization very, very high.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm all for that. I'm all for scripture memory.
Yeah.
You know, usually not under penalty of death, though, which I think was one of her motives.
Yeah.
But, you know, she's a lovely lady.
I did notice that you wrote a note saying to Larry that he ought to be going to Sunday School Lady more because you didn't think he knew enough about the Bible. So that's kind of scary. But
I'd never said that. I don't know what you're talking about.
How about Archibald Asparagus?
Hello! Thank you for inviting me. So good to be in the States with all you Yankees.
Have you ever heard Dave Mitchell do news?
No, I don't know what a Dave Mitchell is.
Yeah. It's kind of like Bob the Tomato and the cucumber
Really?
rolled
Is he
into one.
Big and red and round.
That's him,
and
right
embarrassed.
there. Sounds like Rush Limbaugh on the air
That's
too. So
fascinating. I'd love to hear the news from this Dave Mitchell of yours.
now here's a question: what happens when we put that guy together with the other guy from Veggie Tales?
Which guy?
That cucumber guy.
Oh, the cucumber. Well, the cucumber, he's an innocent chap. He's likable.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out what happens.
I'm not sure he graduated from Bible college.
when we put these two together again in the same room, and to my knowledge, it may be the first time in a few years that they've done this together.
Oh, good heavens. This could be traumatic.
It could be, and we're going to find out if it is coming up in just a moment.
Hi, Roy Patterson here. I hope you can join me on Moody Bible Institute's Israel Tour, The Land and the Book, May 26th through June 6th. Charlie Dyer, Paul Nyquist, and other Moody...